When I bought my very first capture card 6 years ago, it wasn't until 2015 when I decided to get my foot in the door doing Machinima, hence the very first episode of Abandoned. However, I never intended Abandoned to grow into the series it did. At first it started off as a horror spoof, but with lots of inspiration from colleagues such as Chronicler177, I realized I wanted to write a story in the Halo universe. I thought I could turn Abandoned into that. I had already established a main character with a zombie-like parasite, thus the return of the Gravemind. Fans in the Halo universe at the time were really big on wanting to fight the Flood once again. This was around when Halo 4 came out. So, I reimagined the Gravemind into a new form. One where, after the events of Halo 3, his very existence was split. He found himself in a duplicate universe made by the Forerunners called the Abandoned. Man, it's come a long way. At the time I was only 14 at middle school when I first started Abandoned. I hadn't nearly enough experience making movies, and I didn't know much about anything. I lacked a lot of motivation to regularly work on the series. The first 3 or so episodes of the show were admittingly dreadful. I may remaster some of them one of these days, with a much more updated and professional version of the story I wanted to tell. It wasn't until I got into high school in which I started my education in film. I got a much clearer understanding of writing, filming, and the whole aspect of directing cinema. So I decided to give it another shot. I wasn't going to remake the series because, although it was very cringy in the very beginning, I appreciated the fact that you can watch the quality of life grow as much as the series did, and thus began the journey to finishing the series. Abandoned was a simple story. A story about a lone wolf Spartan who has a cold exterior, and most people expect a lot out of him. The main first act of the series develops Jason and his return to his former self, who was open, social, and focused. Due to the Human Covenant War, Jason lost his entire Spartan team to the Covenant. He refused to join another Spartan team because of it. But when the suspicious threat of the Flood return came to the attention of Commander Blake, he forced Jason onto a team of individuals who weren't Spartans. This was all part of Blake's divine plan to lure out the Gravemind and take him down. He had the portals to the Abandoned moved onto the Satchel of Honor and disguised as a training simulator. That way, he could send the team in whenever he needed to cause tremors. That way, the Gravemind would notice and come out.
Stop.
Michael! He'd never tell the team of his plan until it became obvious something wasn't quite right about the simulation. At the time, the Satchel of Honor had lacked the horsepower to jump to subspace, so the journey to Fleetcom had to be done the old school way. Fleetcom at the time wasn't located above Earth, but another human colony called Exodus. They were currently under siege of the Rebel Supremacy looking to undertake ONI and the UNSC.
So I don't know, she's like, move your skulls to the basement, because I got these drapes. I didn't get that. I'm like, honey, this is work.
The rebels under the UNSC noses were aiding the Gravemind in his ascension.
Master, one of the Spartan trainees has broken into our assimilation facility.
The trainees are the least of my concern. But as for the Spartan, he will be dealt with along with the rest of that pitiful little band.
Blake's entire motive to defeating the Gravemind was due to the loss of his wife back in 2553 in the last war. The Flood breakout finally reached his family, and she died. He created Team Sierra to bring the instrument to his plan back to full strength. He imagined Jason could defeat the Gravemind without question, but while he was still mourning the loss of his old team, a new squad might help him grow. He placed Michael Hernandez, a Marine veteran who survived Reach, Lucas Ramirez, an ODST who also lost his team and who met Jason once before, Mark Jefferson, a spy from Team Langston sent to make sure the team doesn't learn about Blake's plan.
That's just it. You're all traitors. What were you guys even thinking?
And finally, Alyssa Keys, daughter of Captain Keys and sister of Miranda. She wasn't much famous as her father and sister were. She was the last to join the UNSC after her sister died in Halo 3. She was paired with Team Sierra under the command of Jason 417. She took interest in him as they got to know him, and soon a crush was formed. She didn't know much about how to express her feelings for him until the very end of the series, where she thought she'd never see Jason again. She openly tells him that she's in love with him before he runs off to defeat the Gravemind.
I love you. Go, Jason. Finish this fight.
Throughout the series, while it can get confusing at times, the overall dynamic of the characters grows with each mission. They explore the abandoned for some time until they realize something isn't quite right. The encounters they have inside are almost too real to be simulated, until they find out that it is real. Lucas and Jason come to the conclusion that Commander Blake needed to be questioned for his lies and take control over an operation to take down the Gravemind and his rebel forces. When they finally regroup, the entire team leave for an exit portal.
You two, on board now.
Come on, let's go.
Ending what was supposed to be their final training op. However, their ship is shot down by the Gravemind, and he draws out Jason to confront him and see what he's all about. Clearly, Jason wasn't ready to face the Gravemind at this time, and there wasn't any reason for him to be. It's here where Gravemind's full power is revealed, as he captures all of Team Sierra and locks them up to prevent them from tampering with his plans. Eventually, going forward into time, Blake gets to finally speak with FleetCom, only to realize it was a waste of time. The UNSC couldn't spare any more men during the siege, so he took matters into his own hands and recruits Agent Carter, a byproduct of Oni's experiments who escaped years ago. He found his way to the abandoned. After hearing the number 417, Carter knew what the stakes were and rescued them from their cages. He gets them to safety and leaves to deal with matters of his own, thus leaving Sierra with their final mission. The voice actors for Abandoned were one of my most proud moments in making the series. Having Jeff, as we know him, Jordan, and Morgan voicing Sierra were outstanding. Michael was a character who was always upbeat, happy-go-lucky, and supported the team in all of their darkest moments. He had comedic moments that fit, and something we can laugh with.
Yeah, I felt all that.
Nice landing, Mark.
He mostly used his face.
Jeff playing the role of Mark was meant to be charismatic, serious, and mysterious.
If we have a shot of getting in there, we're taking it.
Mark, you're starting to sound like Jason.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Anyways, let's go. Fart nuggets. Doug, where? I love ducks.
No, duck!
With the donkey crap.
Oh, so donkey crap? See, I thought it was ducks, but okay.
Hey, let's be fair, Alyssa. I did think it was a duck.
He never really got fleshed out until we learned that he was a spy. The team quickly forgave him for just being a good soldier regardless. He met his unfortunate end when the Gravemind deflected Alyssa's bullet at him.
I didn't mean to.
It's okay. You did it. All of you.
We all saved the day, including you, Mark.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Alyssa's character had to be recasted midway through the series. She was originally voiced by a girl named Christine, who ended up being really busy with what I assume college halfway through the series.
Nope. I feel like I can take the Covenant on myself.
I know what you mean, but don't get cocky.
Jason, I insist I go with you on this mission.
Melissa, don't worry about me. Everything will be fine.
But who will have your back?
That's what Mike's here for.
Okay, I'll do it. Be careful.
So, I opted to go with Morgan to fill her role, and I think she did her character justice. Always loving, pure, and passionate for Jason and her team. Gravemind's voice was oddly simple to recreate. I based a lot of his impressions off of his appearance in Halo 3. Both me and Knight X605 did the voice for him, and it made it come to fruition. Knight had also voiced Blake and his brother in the Rebels, Knight. Knight recognized Blake's treacherous tendencies and revolted to the Rebels to stop him. Needless to say, there was no true difference between the two, besides the fact they were both equally misguided.
It's too late. The war has already begun.
What are you talking about?
You are standing amongst the future destruction of your beloved Satchel of Honor and the end of the UNSC. And it's happening right now.
I loved working with all of my voice actors for this series, and they all did tremendous work, and seemingly stuck through over the 4-year production. I can't thank them enough for hanging in there all this time and working with me no matter what. I greatly appreciate it. My choice in utilizing every single Halo game in machinimating the series, I wanted Abandon to feel at home in the Halo universe no matter what game they were in. When transitioning from game to game, location to location, I simply felt recreating maps from other games made no sense when I could already use them, and get just about every machinima experience there was. And I think I put it all very well. All being believable and smooth. Body acting for me was interesting, because at the time, I didn't have access to a community of people willing to help body act, so I did most of it on my own, with the help of Jeff and various others who I did eventually find in the end. I sat down with 4 controllers hooked up and began recording. It was a pain in the ass, but I did it. The body acting community is largely superior, and the fact so many people want to help out with it is amazing. Without their performances, the characters really wouldn't have the lives they do inside of the game and the series. Body acting is a very important part to machinima and something people really look over. Their performances really do add to the characters and their lives, the way they're portrayed and everything. In the end, Abandoned is and always will be my baby. As being my very first machinima, I'm happy I worked up the courage to finally complete the series. I'm really proud of where it's got me so far. From now on going forward, decision making in machinima will be a lot more organized, and I've got a lot of ideas regarding it. I really can't wait to show you all what I've got coming up next. If you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube, hit that little bell icon for all notifications, and watch my newest trailer for Shadow of Mind. I've got a lot of work put into this new series and a lot of faces you may recognize, so can't wait for you to see it. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a good day.